UFC 302 is this weekend. Islam Makhachev will be taking on challenger Dustin Poirier for the 155 strap. In today's episode, we're going to break down the main event between Islam and Dustin Poirier and see who I think is going to win this fight and be the 155-pound champion. Dustin Poirier is 2-2 in his last 4 fights. It's really peculiar that a guy like this is getting a title shot after going 2-2 in such a competitive division. The 155 division has been so weird. Islam's only 2 fights have been against Volkanovski, and he's not even a 155-pound fighter. It doesn't make any sense to me at all whatsoever. It's really, really crazy. His last 5 fights were 2 Volkanovski fights, the Charles fight, Bobby Green, and Dan Hooker. Weird fights for Islam Makhachev. I think a lot of people wanted to see him versus Justin Gaethje or the Charles Oliveira rematch, but Dustin Poirier it is. And for me, this is Dustin Poirier's last chance to become a UFC champion. He's an older fighter, 35 years old, and 4 months. By the next time he fights, he'll be 36 years of age. But I think if he loses this fight, that's going to be it for Dustin Poirier. This is the first fight ever that his daughter is going to be at, and I think that's telling us something. Maybe even if he wins, he retires, but I doubt it. He'll probably defend the belt at least once or twice. But I do think if he loses this fight, his daughter's going to come into the ring, his wife's going to come into the ring, and then Dustin Poirier is going to retire from the UFC. He's got nothing left to prove, man. He's beaten pretty much every single guy that's not named Islam Makhachev or Khabib, right? Khabib is retired, so Islam it is. Dustin Poirier is not going to get a title shot again, guys. I just don't see it happening at 155 pounds. Maybe he moves up to 170 pounds and fights for a title there. I actually think he has a better chance of beating a guy like Leon Edwards than he does against Islam Makhachev. So, how do I see this fight going? Well, if Dustin Poirier jumps guillotine again, this fight's going to be over super quick. He needs to not do dumb shit if he wants a chance to win this fight. Jumping guillotine on a guy like Islam, you're not going to get it. You're going to be too sweaty. I don't care how it is. These Russians like to warm up heavy before their fight, so they're already coming in sweaty, man. That's a good strategy. So there's no way. No guillotines, Dustin Poirier, please. Your only chance is to use your boxing in this fight. Islam has been clipped and flash KO'd before. He took some big shots from Volkanovski as well. He's hittable, guys. He tends to overextend punches from now and again, and he's fighting a southpaw, so he might be able to find better angles against Islam because Islam doesn't really fight a lot of lefties. This should be a fun fight to watch, but I think it ultimately ends just like the Khabib fight. It might be competitive for a round or two, but I think in the 3rd round is when Islam gets his back, chokes him out. Poirier's got good jiu-jitsu. He doesn't have great jiu-jitsu. He got taken down by Michael Chandler. He got taken down and submitted pretty easily by Charles Oliveira. Submitted pretty easily by Khabib as well. Even though he got that deep guillotine, it just wasn't enough. He burned out his arms. And then once he's on his back, he's not the best at getting back to his feet once he's on his back. So if Islam gets Dustin Poirier on his back and then he's got to shrimp up or get to his knees and give up his back, it's pretty much over for Dustin Poirier. I'm going 3rd round submission for Islam Makhachev. It'll be interesting on the feet, especially like I said before, these guys are both southpaws, right? So I think it might take Islam a little bit of time to find his range. And that's when Dustin Poirier's really got to come out swinging. If I'm Dustin Poirier, I'm unloading the tank in the first 2 rounds. If it goes to the 3rd, 4th, or 5th, your chances of winning a fight like that don't really get better in my opinion. If I'm Poirier, I'm putting the pedal to the metal in the first 2 rounds. I'm throwing big combinations, man, and I'm trying to use my boxing to crack Islam. I think Poirier needs to come out aggressive, but not sloppy, because he will get cracked by Islam, or if he overextends his punches, he will get taken down. But I think the only chance Poirier has to win this fight is if he comes out swinging and blazing it up in the first 2 rounds. If it goes past the 2 rounds, I don't think Poirier has a chance of winning this fight. In that Benoit Saint Denis fight, even though Dustin Poirier won that fight, Benoit Saint Denis' pressure was definitely getting to Dustin Poirier in the early parts of that fight. And I think if Benoit Saint Denis didn't gas, he probably beats Dustin Poirier, right? He had that staph infection, so he said he kind of went balls to the walls in the first couple rounds and tried to get Poirier out of there. Poirier needs to fight smart, but he also has to be aggressive. He can't wait for this fight to come to him. He's got to bring the fight to Islam. Islam is not the same fighter if you can put him on the back foot. Volkanovski proved that in the later rounds of their title fight. But I just think ultimately Poirier doesn't have the skill set at this point in his career to beat Islam Makhachev. I'm going Islam Makhachev by submission in the third round. Let me know in the comments below, who do you think wins this fight and how do you think they win this fight? Are you laying any juice down? I would love to hear it in the comments below. Don't forget to like and subscribe. We'll catch you on the flip side. Peace.